Uh, so I think the reason why the peace process, the current peace process, is not going to amount to anything is the first of all, the negotiators, all of those people who are the negotiators of peace, who are supposed to bring those fighting parties together to come to some sort of agreement, they themselves, the negotiators of those African unions, they are consist of, or they made out of dictators themselves. Ummatikuni, these people, before they have, in their old days, before they become a member of the African Union, before African Union even existed as a concept or as a business, if you go back and look at what these people are up to, what are they doing before, you will find that each individual member of these groups have more than 1 million lives in their hand, meaning that they themselves used to be genocidal killers in their own rights, in their own populations. Now they are the negotiators of peace, which makes the whole idea of African Union, not idea itself, but the people that are engaging in this process are comical or funny. Because how can you be a negotiator of peace when you yourself have engaged in genocide, criminals, activities for half of your life? Imagine you have a peace negotiators, member of the peace negotiators, somebody, president of North Korea, or the current president of Russia as a peace negotiators, or a Hitler, and the guy that killed 6 million Jews, having him as a peace negotiators, or have a member or group of organization that made out of these groups it's like you have a former gang members as a peace negotiators. This whole thing is the organization. It starts from it fails before it starts. That's one thing, that the negotiators themselves are there for the sole purpose of collecting money for themselves. They're not genuine. They don't care what happens to these people, because they themselves have killed more people than any amount of that have died in this small war between Ethiopia and the Tigray region. That's one thing. The second thing is the complexity of what is involved in this war is not being understood by most of these people involved. Even though people think, oh, we're all from Africa, we must be from the same household or something. Now, Africa is a huge country. What's going on in one side doesn't affect, and a lot of people have no idea of the regional issues. What started the war? Why did they fighting? The Tigray populations, small 6%. I mean, there are 7 million, maybe less than that, existed within 125 million populations in Ethiopia. Why are there war with the government. How does the government that existed now come to power? And the guy that is in the government right now, Abiy, what is he? What is he before? Where is he before? What kind of job he involved in before he is appointed and come to be the current president or prime minister or whatever? What is he be doing before? If you look at that, and the fact that the TPLF or the Tigray region, this region, small region of 6 or 7 million populations, they themselves have been in power. In Ethiopia, the government have been in control of the country for the last over 30 years. What kind of government they are running? Why are they all of a sudden hated by the entire population? And what kind of crimes are they themselves committed for the last over 30 years? If you look at that, and you come to understand that the war is not going to end. Not right now, this week, or even within our lifetime. Because what is happening is, I know this region. I'm from this region, as you probably know. And most of the people that live in this region have suffered, experienced either their land is being sold under their foot without their permission or consent to the foreign countries that plant farms, food, or all kind of things on their land, and they ship it to overseas or sold to companies without these people permission or consent, by force. And huge villages, cities, and towns in some areas were forcibly moved off their land and forced to be homeless, forced to live in a camp to make way for these foreign companies or the people that are buying these lands in pennies. These people are not getting money for their land, even though nobody asked them to buy it anyway. They sell it for $2-3 for the whole acres on acres, or they're gonna be forced to move. They'll be this land is gonna be used for the purpose of the government, for the good of all, and they have no choice. You have to understand that the people in this region, Oromo, Amhara, they are tired. They're tired of living under dictatorship for all their life, generation after generation. Young and old have lived to know that this is the only life they know, that they have no expectation of what their youngsters, their children is going to be. They cannot guarantee to leave their generation something they have worked for in their entire life. A lot of them lost their land. But this is how people live over here in our country. You know, in America, people don't even own land. A lot of them live in an apartment because it's easy is that life over here is easy, and you can get a job and make money that way and live your life in a way that is not entirely depend on the land. Over there, if you don't have land, there's no jobs, and the government don't offer social services. I mean, there's no free food, there's no free medical care, your entire life is relying on the land to make sure that you don't die from hunger, from sickness, and also take care of your family, in terms of food, medication, school supplies for those who can afford to go to school. Imagine then your land is being forcibly taken away from you by a bunch of dogs and criminal government that's supposed to protect its people. But instead of protecting its people, they're robbing the population. Absolutely. And people cannot speak like I'm speaking to you right now without risking getting killed or putting in the cage for the rest of their life of torture, living life of torture. If you live this kind of life for 10, 20 generations, little war to get out of this life, the fighting, the war means nothing to you. You're already living under the life. You're already living under the life of misery. The fighting to make it better for yourself, for your generation, for your loved ones, for your sisters and brothers, who is constantly being at risk of being killed, of being used by the government in any way they feel needed. And there are also social structures in Ethiopia where the government are not protecting people's rights. The ethnic divisions. It's like this person is Oromo, this person is Amhara, this person is Tigray, this person is Sidamo. There are over 80 something different ethnic groups. Each ethnic group can only be guaranteeing their life and protections in their own little communities. You have to understand that. And the government is not providing a subtle protections of all its citizens under the law. And the video is already too long, and I'm gonna read this and what do you see on the screen to conclude the video, and then you'll see at the end and I hope you understand this. So I wrote one, people tired of living under dictatorship, looters of farmlands, selling people land to foreign countries, the murderers of political opponents everywhere, censoring people's voices through killing, locking entire generations' lives in cage, discriminators and rapists and racist government. What I mean is this: the discriminators, the way the government of Ethiopia have always ruled the country is through discriminations, meaning that they turn each separate groups, because there is no more than 80 groups, they turn them against each other, and basically they are busy fighting and arguing and fighting with each other. Basically, this is not just an argument, it's killing. There's a police forces of ethnic groups, and then they will oppress each other's groups. People cannot go sell something in the market without bribing one police forces of some town or cities or some neighbor police forces, without being discriminated against because of their religions, because of their race, because of the language they speak. These have been experiment or tools used by the government to keep the population busy and make sure that they are forever be a beggar on their own land Hungary. And hunger is also used to collect money from foreign countries. The government will show these people hungry on the street, and its population. Hunger itself is being source of revenue for the government, is used as a business to collect money, to collect food, and sell it back to the people, or sell that food that is brought into the country back into export it, or take that food and then take it out of the packages so there is no UN or non-profit organization label on the food, and then process it back, sell it back to other countries. This have always been the case. If the UN is not themselves on the street handing the food out to the people, there is nothing will get to the people that are hungry. And because they have to keep the hunger, the government have to keep the hunger alive. It's like you have to keep the business open, alive. Otherwise, you're not going to get any more money. Imagine if they use all the food and money, hundreds of millions of dollars that they received, if they use that to alleviate or to fix the suffering, to hunger, they would have left being the poorest country in Africa, in the world. They have left that stage. They have left that sting behind a long time ago. If they're really serious, care about these people, its reputation, they don't. They keep the hunger alive as a business. So, and there's also crimes of the certain ethnic groups can do whatever they want. They can rape your sisters and daughters, and there is nothing you can do. And if you do, which a lot of people will react to it, they will take you and throw you in jail or kill you. Every effort now, so the tplf, the Tigray people that have been in charge of the Ethiopian government for the last 40 years, have done so much damage to the people psyche through the looting and genocide and suffering. I have to say before I continue on these things that I love the people of Tigray just as much as I love everybody that in this world as human beings, as brothers and sisters of the human race. Nobody wants suffering for anybody. I don't want what I don't want for my family. I don't want what I don't want for my sisters, for my brothers. I don't want there to be hunger. I don't want there to be people suffering, people losing their land, people being looting and killing that's going on. I support the rights of Tigray people to exist. And Nagaya Sani Barbad, Faya Sani Barbad. I want them peace for them. I don't want there to be a looting of their wealth or of their life or of their land. They have right to exist. They have right to the protections, just like everybody else. This does not denigrate the fact that they have done nothing. The Tigray people have done nothing to the Ethiopian people to deserve what's going on right now. What happened is that the people who are in charge, I'm not making excuses for those who was in charge of the tplf government that have caused so much, that have killed so much people, that have steal so much, that have made the life of the entire population of over 100 million people a hell, living hell for the last 40 years, close to 40 years anyway. I'm not making excuse for those people. Those leaders who have created those conditions must be held accountable. And the people they send out the soldiers that kills people and do the robberies, taking of lands, taking of businesses, of houses, of money from people, of people's life, people that are half of the population is spent spend their life in prison. Those people who doing the work on the field, and those who also responsible for creating that condition must be held accountable if there's to be credible, genuine peace. Without that condition, that there is impossible to have peace for with those people not being accountable. Okay, and I'm not making excuse also for what Abiy is doing. Abiy have been part of the TPLF for their whole existence. Okay, and for whatever he's doing now, he didn't come out and have a direct he didn't lay out. I have not seen anything that he lay out exactly what is it that he wanted to accomplish in this part of the world. What is his concrete plan that he wanted to accomplish? What kind of government is he going to bring forth? Let's say if there is a peace agreement, which is not going to happen. He doesn't have a clear and concrete plans. I speak the language. I speak Oromo. I understand the language. I've listened to many of his speeches. I have not seen one concrete plan that includes the whole populations. Respect under the law that protect everybody. When it comes to rights of people, of all people, from losing their land or their life, and instead of encouraging one side against each other to continue the violence. I have not seen him creating laying out any kind of plan for the future that includes freedom and peace and democracy with us we understand it over here in the West. Okay, so because of the conditions, the horrible conditions the people have lived under for the last 40 years, every effort is being made by the local authorities when it comes to the fight with the Tigray and other Oromo rebel populations. The people who have suffered so much before, some of them have opportunity to decide their futures. So they have become in charge of the local government. So they are deciding to protect their people, the right of their people, the right of their lands on their property, and the rights of their populations entirely, and make sure that nothing of what they have lived under for the last 30 years, nothing like that is ever going to come back to their country as long as they're alive. That's what's happening. Deep down, people are tired of living as if they have never lived in their entire life. They're tired of being living under unelected, crazy, organized criminal thugs, and that's why they see so much resistance in this war. I also see a lot of misconceptions. No, I'm reading the screen here. I see a lot of misconception of why the West or America and other Western countries getting involved in these negotiations. This question is come to appear from the Ethiopian populations online on the radio, which I can show you at the end, which I think they failed to see the suffering Ethiopian populations, they understand their own suffering that they have lived under for many years, even after, before the TPLF come to power. Ethiopia population have never seen or known peace in their own country. They're always some crazy, unelected, organized criminals ruin their country. They can't decide what they want to do with their land. They can't decide what they want to do with their life. Other people have always been in charge of what these people, their admirations, their dreams, have always been at the hands of somebody else. These people now, in these generations, have been awakened through the technology, through so many educational materials that's available, and the lives of other people that lived before them be an example for them never to be like their parent. Anyway, so Ethiopia, even though they understand their stuff, but they fail to see the suffering of the Tigray populations. Why? This is what I don't understand about the Ethiopian population. Okay, the leadership of the Tigray is the one that did the crimes. They're the one who killed your brothers and sisters, who did the looting, stealing of lands and selling it to foreign countries. Instead of protecting you as your government, they fail you and allow the greed to take hold of what you have instead of protecting your rights when it comes to elections. Kills hundreds of thousands of people every elections. Throw the rest of it in cages. The leadership of the TPLF and the people who they send out are the ones who are responsible for that. Tigray population, all the way over there, hundreds of miles away, they're not responsible for that. Most of the people of Tigray region are poor, broke, suffering and living under dictatorship, living under oppression, just like you and me. So, please, ummata Tigray kana akkuma dhukkubbii ati dura sira dabarte san, just like the pain and suffering that you have suffered under those government, they also suffer the same, if not worse. So that's what I think, that the US's involvement is because they wanted to make sure that the peace, that some sort of a agreement is come out of this. The West have so many, they want to keep the regional peace. I think that's the thing. They get involved because they have been asked to get involved. They're not just getting involved. And they have nothing to gain from this region other than trying to make sure that the terrorist is not going to spread all over this region, because what's happening is there is a government is in competition in the West. Lafa alaa kanatti regional influence waan jedhanii jira. Regional influence from the Arab countries, from the Asia, from like China and Russia, from India. They want to make sure that they keep this part of the region as a customer, as also that they have some influence over these regions, and keep the region intact. Walitti akka gartee addaan hin banne, and to make sure that they contain a element of bad actors in this region. For example, the spread of a huge amount of terrorists, because there are so many terrorist organizations in Africa, especially in Congo, in Kenya, in Tanzania, in Nigeria, and in even in Asia. There are so many organized terrorist organization, armed rebel terrorist organization that is spreading like wildfire. Middle East is full of it, and it's spreading. The only thing that's keeping terrorists intact is Russia right now, being in the middle. If there is no Russia right now, and the terrorists would have spread all across. Okay, so that's one of the things that they want to contain this region, to make sure that the region have some sense of stability, to make sure that this place is contained. Okay, also the suffering of the Tigray people affects a lot of people. The suffering of any people, when you see the news, the people are dying from hunger, beelaan du'anin, kubaan du'anin. This affects people. Nami itti dhagahama namatti. Agarte? It's particularly strange given that the majority of Ethiopian population was subjected to daily ethnic cleansing, genocide, looting of their property taken, insult off to, I'm reading the screen now, to foreign countries to plant the farms in which they have been driven to be homeless for the last 40 years by the tplf government. The Ethiopian population, hunger, sickness, and suffering as a result of the tplf government is a suffering that we have to also make sure never happen into this region, even to everybody, including Tigray. Oromo and Amhara, the two biggest population, have suffered, and mostly because they are the most big in numbers. They see oppression, they see disease, hunger, humiliation. They see oppression, disease, illnesses that have brought many of those people to their knee. They're now doing the same thing to Tigray population. The irony is that one if you can seem fedin mirga nama dhiibu ifiin feetu ollaa kan keetillee hin feetu. Saaminsallee qabeenya kan kee saamu ifiillee hin feetu. Waan ati ifiin jaalatin nama biraatillee hin jaalatin. So gabrummaan nu jala ture san, kummata keenya jala ture san, injibbinee akka nurraa baatu lollaafi miti. We don't want that for the Tigray population as well. People in this part of the world also, anaka lajgaiti, from what I'm thinking, people in this part of the world are not educated to think logically or ethically. There is no awareness of others' repulsive suffering. Jechungia, yo nama bira. When I see other people suffering, for example, when I see a homeless person, it is repulsive to me enough to want to help that, or to make sure that it's not happening in my own country. That is what's missing in our country, that people are they don't have a heart for each other. Why would you want to prevent food from coming to Tigray when you know what it feels to be hungry? That's what it means. Ethiopian government failed to educate its people in critical thinking and logic. Most of the times, it encouraged people to act out of control if they are religious leaders or of a certain race, as if this gives them more rights or responsibility. This creates a cloud, blurry picture of what those people have to live under in terms of law and order. That's what I mean is, when it comes to seera beita, biyya keenya keessa seerri clearii miti. Amalaala in America, if you run a red light, you know exactly what's going to happen. The police cannot just do whatever they want. There is standard jira, seera jira, step jira, barmoota jira. Anybody can read from a law instruction of what exactly is expected, what's going to happen if you get pulled over for the stop, or for running a stop sign, for example. The law is clear. Tickets, if you get 2 or 3 of them, your license will be suspended. Police is not going to just kill you. They can't take your car. And what I'm saying is the law is not clear, and people don't have more rights under the law. People should not have more rights because they are leader of some religious garbage, or they are from a different ethnic groups. That means nothing under the law. The law is equally for everybody. This is not clear, and this is where Abiy, the leader of the Ethiopian government, have failed, and they have failed for many years. They have, for most of my existence. This have always been unclear, that every different groups is being treated differently under the law. The concept of freedom, in Ethiopia, the concept of freedom for yourself, for others, the concept of freedom is not clear also. People are doing, the categorize freedom and rights and responsibility is basically categorized into a ethnic groups, ethnically, like if you are a religious person, for example, from religious groups, it is categorized as a religious label. Like if you are from these groups, you have more rights than if you are from these groups. And the enforcement of the law have never been equal. This is an embarrassment. The Ethiopian government should be ashamed of themselves for having things that are law that is unclear, and silencing of people for bringing these things up into the public sphere to make sure that these things are corrected. So the enforcement of the law is 100% equal. It doesn't matter if you're the son of the president. If you break the law will hold you accountable. So people can be confident under the law that everybody knows what's going to happen if they break the law. This is how you create peace, responsibilities. And so the limit of the law is not being debated concept. It's very new. It is blurry. People think one groups, for example, if one have more right to throw rocks at the neighbor's house to break the window, but he can't do the same thing to me because we have more rights. That's how people think. I can go out and I can burn your houses. I can steal from your whole city. I mean, you can't do that to me because I am from a certain race or from certain groups. This is the concept that is being ingrained in society over there. You see people, hundreds of thousands of them, going around in the cities. For example, remember during the George Floyd that we have in America, I watched a video on YouTube, in Ethiopia video, where people in over probably 1,000 people going from door to door, smashing the windows, killing people, smashing people with the machete. And people are, why they doing this? Because they doing it to ethnic groups, because you are a different race of people, and that gives them a right to kill you, or because you are of different religious groups. And I've seen this, and it is heartbreaking to see that the police standing around doing nothing, in some cases even encouraging this activity. So this is what I'm saying. The people who have experienced these kind of things, if they surrender now, go back to the way they used to live, there's no guarantee that their life will get better. for themselves now or for the future. This is why I think that this war will continue. And to those people who have been in charge for the last 30 years, I'm talking about TPLF, they themselves be held accountable for the crime that they have committed. The second, also Abiy, he also have to be responsible and be held accountable for the crime that he have committed in pursuit of these TPLF groups. Okay, you have killed so many people. No, probably over 400,000 Tigray, Amhara, and Afar populations. You have to be held responsible for that. And I don't know how he can live with himself, knowing that there are people tonight, children, small and big, old and young, dying of hunger because the food cannot come across Amphar, because these little terrorists, Amphar, blocking the road, blocking the food from coming in. These kind of scavengers, I'm talking about intellectually, garbage people, is what makes Africa, what gives us horrible name everywhere we go. And I wish for peace, but I know the conditions. I know that psychologically and intellectually what's happening in this region. I know that peace is not going to be possible. Stay tuned. And also, I'm going to show you one interesting video. I mean, this is like an audio recording from Voice of America. They ask, this is in Oromo language, they ask why the West, the host of the show is asking one of its guests why the West is getting involved, or why they interfere in Ethiopia country, or what's happening in the country. That's one thing he asked. And the second question that he asked is Ethiopia and Eritrea helping each other to go to fight the Tigray, to wipe out the Tigray, to go after these groups? Is this, again, is the law? Is this breaking the law under the international law? That's what he was asking, the guy. And I'm going to show you. If you speak Oromo, you understand. Otherwise, I'm going to just translate what the guys say. And stay tuned. One minute.
Addunyaa kun dhimma kana irratti itti dhimmatee itti xiyyeeffate maaltu sababa ta'eef waan kana irratti maal irraa argatu maaltu jara jinqe waan baay'ee jedhamuu danda'a maaliif isa
he said what they're getting out of it, why they get involved.
Addunyaa kana sammuu ilaallu biyya adda addaatu jira. Biyya adda addaa kun
he said in the world there are so many different countries.
Ethiopia jini interested dadda qabu gareen tokko gara waggaa 100 waliin relationship wajjin qabna. Gareen tokko deengaddeedha. Inni kaan economic interest dalleedha, which is very minimal. Ethiopian baay'ee export waan gootu hin qabdu.
They have interest in Ethiopia, but you know, Ethiopia is nothing. Ethiopia doesn't export so many things. Since the relationship between the world and Ethiopia is very minimum. That's what he's saying then.
This one, the Villa family to Kabdu, TPLF to Motumaran gain or Gapro Mudala Zure, Adunyan, Baigargaran, especially the West.
He say Ethiopia have been TPLF, the Tigray Liberation Front, have been friend with the West. Even before they come to power, they created and cultivate yookaan ijaarattee saahiba yookaan biyya adda addaarraa qabanii relationship yookaan saahiba adda addaa qabanii connection adda addaa qabanii ka isaan qarqaaru ka isaanii dubbatu.
Western kan jedhaman kuni maaliif gargaaru yeroo sana isaanii communist regime mangistuu lolaa jiru is within the global package of East Europe and the Soviet Union.
So you say that they helped in Ethiopia as if it's a global package to keep the peace. I'm thinking about Amazon when they say global package.
In Yugoslavia kuffisuudhaa fi Soviet sphere of influence kana kuffisuu irratti jedhanii wayyaanee was the good tool kan isaan itti dhimma ba'anii mootummaa Mangistuu kuffisuu.
Say to contain the spread of Soviet countries like Russia, the spread of China influence. Yeah, that's what he's saying now.
It's not about wayyaaneen democratic Ethiopia democracy.
He say they don't care whether Wayane is become a Democrat, Tigray become Democrat, or Ethiopia become Democrat. It's all about their own interest, influence to keep the package or the area under peace, stability. Jechuun nagaa tiksuu area tokkorra.
Asigaa hin ta'in Soviet satellite kan ta'e Mangistuu kuffisuudhaaf jedhanii waggaa 10 wayyaanee gargaaranii. Waggaa 27 akka ta'anii dhufanii booddee.
He said they used to help TPLF during the Mengistu, help them overcome Mengistu to make sure to stop the spread of Soviet during the Mengistu, which is Mengistu is around 1970. He used to say that they are being friend, the West have been friend with the TPLF for a long time.
Amman isaanii TPLF itti cichanii, not necessarily because Abiy has different ideology yookaan Abiy West ideology gadhee fidee dhufetu hin ta'in.
He says it's not because Abiy have a terrible ideology that the West don't like.
Just because they are close to the previous regime, wal qabatanii, maatii mataanii, waluma keessa jiraatanii.
It's like they become like a family with the TPLF. That's what he said.
Kanaatiif ammoo namni akkasii yuunfaa du'eera mootii jettu baay'ee rifatanii jarri kun. Maaliif namatti beektuudha, namatti theoretical then practically wajjin teessee dhuddee nyaattee dhuddeedha.
He say the West it become heartbreaking when they hear their friend getting killed. He said the friend means the TPLF. When they hear the TPLF families or members, people they know, get killed, it breaks their hearts. So they want to speak for them. Isaanii dubbatan wayita isaan uummata insaan beekan waliin guddatan saahiba waliin beekan yoo uummati sun du'e duuba yookaan yoo faamilii isaanii rakkina tokko irra geette rakkina isaanii jedhanii rakkina isaanii akka irraa ka'u dubbataniif jedhan.
Kanaatiif jara kana gargaaru malee not particularly jarri kun yommuu ani ufan Itoophiyaa keessatti human rights respect godhu jedhanii yookaan economic interest West eegu jedhanii miti.
Not because the TPLF respect the human rights or because of the economic development guddina lafarraa tillee miti mirga ummataa eegummaa irratti illee doon ta'in freedomii fi bilisummaa warra kanatti irra wayyaa fi qarqaroo doon ta'in is because of just their close friend or something. That's what
it's nothing, not ideological. It's not about human rights. It's simply because the international community in jara kana waggaa 40 ol isaan beeka.
Say not because of Democrat or of ideology, because of they've been knowing each other for over 40 years.
Abiy is a new guy to the market. Ideology is a difference in
the current prime minister or the Abiy, he's a new guy in the market. They don't know him. They don't know what he's gonna bring into the market. So they are rather help the people that they know what they're gonna bring to the market. If they are their friend, they can always influence. They can always do whatever they want in this region. under the old guy that they know, that they can rely on, they can trust.
Maoistiidha uumamni isaanii. Abiy evangelist suutii godha politika Ameerikaatiif. Ekonomiin poolisiin isaa difeensiin qabannu warra yaaddeeg fidarraati. Kanaatiif foormulaa kaa'uu hin dandeessu garuu jarri for simple reason akka koottaan ideoloojii lafa kaa'uuf hin danda'u. There is no difference between the previous and the current regime.
You say there is really no difference between the TPLF, Tigray Liberation Front, and the current Prime Minister, Abiy. Abiy and the TPLF, there is no difference. You say ideologically, they support the TPLF because of their knowledge of each other and trust.
Most likely, factoring addana siiqaa adda addaa kun walitti qabee kana fidee yaada. Malee wanta cimaa, it's not about the national interest of America or the Western European countries at all.
You say it's not even because of the interest of America or the West country.
Egaa mootummaan Itoophiyaa morma gidduu kana dhimma biyya keenya keessa galaa jiru warri lixaa biyyootiin addaa jedhanii namoonni bakka adda addaatti hiriira bahaa jiru.
He say Ethiopia government now saying that the Western country is intervening in our affair and is calling upon the population to show support or to come out and demonstrate on the street in support of the government agenda.
Mootummaan Itoophiyaa mormaa jira waan kana akkuma jirutti isarratti hoo yaada maalii qabdu?
The government is arguing about this.
Maali gama mootummaan biyyi
He say, what is your thought on this?
cimaan amma akka Raashaa fa'aa Chaayinaa fa'aa fudhatte international forum irratti ba'anii dhaadachuu danda'u Ameerikaa. Security Council dhaabatee Lavrov waan.
You say, if you look at an example of China and Russia, the Ethiopian government can come out and argue in a United Nations platforms. They can argue for their position in United Nations.
Waan baay'ee dubbachuu danda'a waa'ee Blinken. Wal argusaan they can match. Walitti immoo when Lavrov means something, it means something. Dhugaasaati. Warra akka Itoophiyaa kun international forum irratti namni si dhaggeeffatu hin jiru. Gabaan qabdu. Ethiopia is just nuuf malee international community is just nothing. Injiru jechuu dandeessa. Isaan ofumaa of tuullee Itoophiyaan biyya akkasii waggaa 3,000 jiraanne akkas jennu kun westiidhaaf wanta kana miti.
You say in Ethiopia, you're talking about when you come to the United Nations and speak your argument. He say nobody listen to them because Ethiopia, they see Ethiopia as if they are nothing. They have nothing to contribute to the world. They have nothing. They have contributed nothing into the world, and they contribute nothing to jechuun kabajaan qabanii fi namni isaan dhageeffatu waan ati dhaadeffatu maaltu jirta? Ati dandeettiin kan kee, qabeenyi kan kee, ani nama dullachaa ganni keenna biyya kana keessatti ganna 3,000 jirraa lafti ta'een biliyoona 3,000 lafti ta'een dullatti kana yoo jettee nu Ethiopia jettee yoo dhaadeffatte kana nobody cares. Significant contributionin lafa tana keessaa dhufu beekumsa taatee fi qabeenya taatee fi aqlii taatee fi kacaqasu. Nobody listen to what comes out of the mouth of the Ethiopian representative at the UN. That's what he's saying. I think he's right.
Saba kana isa baafta. Kun immoo jechuun waa fide jechuun miti. Just because ati nama miliyoonii tokko yoo baaftetu hiriira baate sabni Awurooppaa fi Westiin kun sodaatee sirraa deebisa jechuun miti. Just for your psychological satisfaction, saba keessa immoo baaftee tasgabbeessuu qabda. Baaftee kun akka jedhaa hojjette malee impactiin isaa biyya lafaa irratti xinnoodha akka muuxannu.
He say, saba kan kee yookaan your people, you have to be the one in charge of your people to to do whatever it is you have to do to make uh, life of this population better, but because you go to Matasani with it, these people, the United Nations or the West, they're not gonna fix the problem of your country. They're not, and that's what he's saying. And let's see.
Kan biraa dhumas ta'uu danda'a amma waa'ee walitti dhufeenya biyya alaa kana wajjiniin wal qabatee kan ka'aa jiru maayinni mootummaan Eertiraa lola kana keessa akka galfatee cina mootummaa Itoophiyaa cina dhaabbatee lolaa jira kan jedhudha. Itoophiyaanii fi Eertiraan walii galanii wal gargaaruu akka danda'anu seerri addunyaa kan ayyamuuf jira kan jaras dhowwu jira.
He said, in regard to the Ethiopia and Eritrea coming together and fighting the Tigray population in their military adventure, is there a international laws seera addunyaarra jiru jira? Are there international laws that prevent them or prohibit kadoo wajjira addunyaatti seerri from coming together and helping and to overthrow or to fight the Tigray army?
Lakuni seerri jira, of course, consider wunjubati. As a sovereign state, mootummaan Itoophiyaa.
He said there is no law that or there is no law that prevented you from doing that. You as a servant country or as a country, you can deal with whoever you want in terms of business or conflict. There is no law that prevented you from engaging in business with other countries. That's what he's saying.
This is a civil war. It's a war within Ethiopia.
So the only difference here is that this is a civil war within Ethiopia. Jijjiiramni ka jiru kuni lola lafa Itoophiyaa keessa deemu jiru biyya isaanii ummata isaaniitiin lolu jiranii riijenii ifiitiin lola ummata isaaniitiin lolu waan jiraniif lafa alaa dhufi ummata kiyya kanaan na waliin fixi na waliin ajjeesti na waliin loli kunin seeraan alaa tahuu malaa inca qabna waan inni jedhu garuu akkas jedha.
Ethiopia. Kanarratti saba koo kottuu naaluun jedhee mootummaan Itoophiyaa Eertiraa waamuunsaa sirriidha moo sirrii miti kan jirudha magaaffiin jiru.
He said the question is now asking whether the fact that Ethiopia asking the Tigray to come to my country and help me defeat my own people or kill my own people, calling upon a foreign country to come and kill your own people. This is a question now. That's what he said. He said but by the law, there is nothing that prevented Ethiopia government. And he said this is not a question of law. It is not a question of law. It's Gafi seerati mitiidha.
Galatoma Bobaisa ega.
Say thank you Obo Basita Obo. So that's will conclude. Until the next video, we'll talk about this later on. And if you have any Gafi or a comment, if you have some sort of news stuff that you want to share with me, that you want to make a video about it, please let me know. I'm also new to this, making videos, and I'm barachuma jiran isin waliin. Ani nama student and dalaga malle busy sara yaro gari heddu video. I don't make that many videos, but I'm trying to, and I'm not too good. I'm not too what they call when it comes to the cameras. I'm trying to be familiar with cameras when I'm making videos. Like if I'm looking at, I'm not sure if I'm looking at the right area or right and angles of the cameras, and I'm getting used to it. And please, if you are in this war, try to create peace for everybody. Discrimination it is. Haqa nama maraayyuu akkuma haqaan kee eegdu eegi. Kabajaa ati ifii qabdu nama biraa maraayyuu qabaadhu. Agartee hawwii bilisummaa ka ifii kan keetii qabdu, ka obboleessa kan keetii qabdu, ka haadha abbaa kan keetii qabdu maraa ollaa kan keetillee qabaadhu. Guyyaa gaarii wal agarra. Subscribe godhi, will follow. I will see you on the next video.